Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. This is it. This is my third favorite pinball machine of all time. Rollergames from Williams. It's a fantastic title, and it's one that is unfortunately locked away in a way that I can never play it on any system other than Visual Pinball, which is what you're looking at here. I've talked about how I used to dabble with Visual Pinball way back in the day, and that's what we're looking at here. So it's going to look a little crunchy, but let's fire up a game. Now, I've already talked about my first favorite pinball machine, which is Black Knight 2000, followed by my number 2, which is the Bride of Pinbot. I'm going to round it out now with number 3, Rollergames. And man, this game is awesome. It is so gnarly and 80s and just glorious. I guess it's a little bit of a cheat to say it's from the 80s because it just barely qualifies. I think the table came out in 1990, and it's actually based on a television show, very short-lived, called Rollergames, and that was from 1989. So yeah, the styles, the big hair, all that fantastic imagery, that's from the TV show, dated 1989. Didn't last more than a season. It's essentially just a roller derby show where the characters will encounter, I guess, trials and tribulations as they go about their competition every week. But back to the pinball table, I just love this thing, and I wanted to go briefly into as much discussion about it as I have my previous two. Every once in a while you're going to hear the voice of somebody shout something like the Violator or the Rockets or whatever. I think those were enemy teams in the TV show, and through the storyline of this pinball table you're supposed to take them on in various competitions of roller derby. Now, I'm not going to go into the rule set of Rollergames because that's not really the intention here. It's more just to talk about how much I love this table. And the unfortunate element is that unlike Black Knight 2000 and also Bride of Pinbot, I'm never playing this on anything other than Visual Pinball. So what you're seeing here is what we're going to get. I guess the first thing you're going to notice with this Visual Pinball presentation is the back glass has been kind of split in half here to show you some of the characters. I'm assuming these are from the actual TV show. Yeah, there's no question you just can't get around the 80s booty on the right-hand side, which is ironically something Classic Game Room talked about when they did their review of this pinball table. Mark of CGR was just absolutely in love with this table when he managed to play it, and I think he also concentrated on that glorious, bodacious 80s booty on the pinball table, and it just goes with the territory. And you know, even the Playfield has got a couple of the ladies with their big 80s hair down there. I think those are actually images of the actual actresses from the show. Yeah, just locked one of the balls in the that right area, that kind of red cage. The bit of the storyline, I think, is you actually put some of your roller derby ladies and guys in the cage, and then later on they get released in multi-ball. It's a really nice effect, and I'm going to show you that later on here. But listen to that music. I think it's the music that really turns me onto this table. It's got a really fun, funky kind of a beat to it that makes me want to keep playing it, going back and back over and over again. Yeah, it was actually this catchy music, this sort of addictive go back and have another game element about roller games that endeared it to me, and I discovered it by mistake. I mean, when I got into Visual Pinball, as I've described already, I was just downloading any table I could find for any kind of title. This was one of many, and I just thought, oh, okay, let's try out Rollergames along with dozens of others. And I found myself just coming back and back because I want to hear that theme song and the fun kind of zippy elements to the story, the way the game is actually played out, the sound effects, all the really cool upbeat tempo stuff that happens both when you score, some of the directions you get from the bad guy about go for the wall and that kind of thing. I was finding I was going back to Rollergames constantly, and that's part of the reason why it's my third favorite. Now, something you're going to encounter a few times in this gameplay is something called the pit. See this yellow cage up here? If you shoot the ball under the right circumstances under that, it kind of gets held there, vacuumed up, thrown over and to the other flipper, and there'll be an instruction that says, don't flip. Here we go. There we go. That's basically, there's a magnet underneath where the delivery is, just near that upper flipper. So quite often in the game, what's going to happen is under the right circumstances, you'll get into the pit there. You're going to have either the lady or the guy shout something about don't flip. You got to wait for the ball to be delivered across that yellow chasm there, or that little bridge. Drop down, and then you want to wait until they tell you to flip, because the gates up at the top will be in the right configuration to get you some bonus points. Again, this isn't all about the gameplay, but I wanted to point that out because it took a while for me to learn that about roller games, and I have a feeling this pinball table is not terribly popular among players. I wonder if it's because in most events that people might attend where they go and see various pinball machines playable, it might be kind of noisy, and if you don't hear that voice telling you don't flip and then flip, maybe that's why people are not getting very high scores and they just don't understand the rule set. That's kind of a central part of roller games, so I just wanted to showcase that here because you're going to see it a few times in this gameplay. Yeah, I really love that theme song. It captures the whole theme, the feeling of this game perfectly. But you're probably asking yourself, wait a minute, what do you mean this isn't popular? I have heard quite a few people say bad things on pinball podcasts and on various forums about roller games. Nobody likes this title. I don't know why. I love it. It's bodacious and gnarly and full of 80s nostalgia for me. It's bright and colorful. I like the swinging around of the ball and the various power-ups that you can do. When we do multi-ball later, it's stellar. And I don't know why people are just not a fan of this. I love it.
Go for the wall!
Well, I was doing pretty good there, but lost it in the end. You see that flickering area in the center of the playfield? There's a bunch of logos there, and those combined with the fact that this is based on an old television show is what leads me to say this is never going to be on the Pinball Arcade, nor is it ever going to be on Zen Studios Pinball. As a side note, they haven't really released anything new in a long time, but that's another rant for another time. I had kind of always thought, well, since they've got Black Knight 2000 and they've got Bride of Pinbot, maybe someday my third favorite, Rollergames, is going to come out. And it never did, and it never will. A, it's based on a TV show. There's a licensing problem. That's going to be problematic for anybody. And B, in that central area there, the Playfield, you've got a Pepsi logo, a Mug Root Beer logo. There's a bunch of brand product placement in there. And that just means nobody's going to be paying for that to actually license the Playfield properly. I guess they could blank it out, but I don't think that's going to ever happen. And so for me, Rollergames, my third favorite pinball machine of all time, is only ever going to be playable for me here in Visual Pinball. Now you're going to see on the right hand side here a couple of the balls that are in the cage kind of almost briefly come out of the cage. Yeah, there they go. They roll around a bit, I guess to indicate those roller derby players are ready to go. They want to do the multi-ball thing, which you're going to see in a second here. And it's a really cool feature. Now I'm going to just shut up and play for a bit here. Wait till you check out multi-ball. And here comes multi-ball. Check this out. And just as quickly as that epic multi-ball started, I did an epic fail. Yeah, I don't know why people are not big fans of Rollergames. I hardly ever hear anybody talk about it other than to basically deride it. I think it's great. If I had ever had the room or the inclination or whatever, I would totally pick up a Rollergames. This is so gnarly and bodacious and just 80s all the way. Sure, the show was in the late 80s, like basically at the very end, and the pinball machine didn't come out to 1990, but darn it, I'm calling it an 80s vibe. I love it. I would totally pick this up if I had a big enough room for a lot of pinball machines. Black Knight 2000, Bride of Pinbot, Rollergames, absolutely. I don't think I'll talk about any further pinball machines. I don't really have a 4 or 5 on my list, but I really had to talk about all three because they've got an interesting place, and particularly this one has an interesting problem that it's stuck forever in Visual Pinball. Hey, at least if nothing else, I get to put my initials in. Yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed me talking about my 3 favorite pinball machines. They're very, very different from each other. One's medieval, one's science fiction, and one's gnarly 80s, which I guess really makes up the elements of my own personality or something. I'm sure there's some logic there. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. I'm really hoping that Black Knight 2000 and Bride of Pinbot come to Zen Pinball, because I want to revisit those with the better ball physics that the Zen Pinball Studio version has on offer. But we won't be seeing this game. Rollergames. Love it. Until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.